Today we are going to learn how to convert customary, convert within the customary system. Customary system is what we use in the United States. So when converting between measurements in the customary system, we can use proportions. So we're going to go straight into practicing. Here it wants me to convert 252 inches to feet. So the first thing I want to do is I want to write a word ratio. I'm comparing inches to feet. Okay, and so then I know off the top of my head, or I know from looking at my star chart, that there are 12 inches in 1 foot. So now let's set up our proportion. The first ratio is going to be from what we know. We know that we have 12 inches in 1 foot. Proportion means equal, so that is equal to what I'm trying to find. I am trying to find 252 inches, and I want to know how many feet that is. So it's X feet because I don't know. We're going to say the unknown. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is cross multiply. Remember, it's important that when we are cross multiplying, that we highlight what we are using. That way I could say, I need to multiply my green numbers times each other. I need to multiply my yellow numbers times each other. So I have 12 times X, bring down your equal sign, 1 times 252. 12 times X is 12X equals 1 times 252 is 252. Remember, we want to solve for X. We want to see what X equals, so we need X by itself. In order to get X by itself, the 12 has to go away. It has to turn into a 1 because 1 times X is X. So in order to do that, I'm going to do the opposite operation. So it's 12 times X, so I'm going to divide by 12. You always divide by the number that's attached to the X. 12 divided by 12 is 1, so that gives me X. What I do to the left side of the equal sign, I'm going to do to the right. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to divide 252 by 12. Press pause and divide that out, please, and when you have finished, press play. So you should have gotten 21. So X equals 21. 21 what? What were we looking for? And that is 21 feet. Box your answer. Okay, so now we want to convert 75 hundredths of a pound to ounces. So word ratio is that I am comparing pounds to ounces. Okay. Again, I can look at my star chart to see the relationship of pounds to ounces. Or I should know that in 1 pound, there are 16 ounces. Okay? So over here, we're going to set up a proportion first using what we know. The first thing that we know is that I have 1 pound for every 16 ounces. I'm setting up a proportion. Proportion means equal, so I put my equal sign. My second ratio comes from what I'm trying to find. This is what I'm trying to find. So I have 75 hundredths of a pound over X ounces. I don't know how many ounces are in that many pounds, so X ounces represents the unknown. Again, I'm going to highlight my diagonals so I know what's going on and what I'm looking for. I'm going to multiply my green numbers times each other. So that's 1 times X. Bring down your equal sign. I'm going to multiply my yellow numbers times each other. One of my numbers has a decimal, so I'm going to use parentheses to represent my multiplication so I don't get confused. Okay, so then 1 times X equals X, and then I multiply 16 times 75 hundredths. So I'm going to set it up. I'm going to put 75 hundredths on top times 16. Remember, do not line up your decimals. I have 2 numbers to the right of the decimal. I'm going to multiply. When you finish multiplying, I would like you to press play and check for your answer. Okay, so when I multiplied, I should have gotten 1,200. Then I put my decimal back into my problem, and I get that x equals 12 ounces. Don't forget your label, and box your answer. I would like you to read this third problem and try to set it up. You're going to look at your star chart for your conversion, or you may know it off the top of your head. Once you have finished, please press play. You're setting the problem up. Okay, so this is the proportion that you should have gotten when you set this up. We take what we know, which is right here from our star chart, and that is in my first ratio. Equal sign, what I'm trying to find is in my second ratio. Notice that I have my inches on top and my yards on bottom. Those have to match each other to make this proportion true. Okay, so now I would like you to press pause and try to solve for x and press play when you have finished. Okay, so when you divided, you should have gotten 4. Remember, if you don't know how many times 36 goes into 144, do your math to the side. So 36 times 4 equals 144, so x equals 4 yards. Okay, now we want to check and make sure, does that make sense? Does it make sense that 4 yards is in 144 inches? Remember, we're going to have more inches than yards, so we definitely want to make sure that yards is a less number than inches. And we kind of want to think about our logic that way. Our next problem is 1.5 quarts. Okay, we're going to take our 1.5 quarts and we're going to make that into the decimal to solve this problem. Okay, so 1.5 quarts. We know that I have quarts, and I want to look at my star chart and say, are there any quarts in a pint? in a cup. And it doesn't go straight from quart to cup on our star chart, but it does tell us that there is 1 quart and 2 pints. So I'm comparing quart to pint. Okay? More specifically, I know that 1 quart is 2 pints. Okay? Now I've got to get pints to cups. So pints to cups, because that's what I'm looking for. I know that there on my star chart it says there is 1 pint for 2 cups. So step 1, I'm going to use this ratio. Step 2, I'm going to use this ratio. This is one of our 2-step problems. So I have that I'm going to use what I know. 1 quart is in 2 pints equals 1.5 quarts to x pints. Okay? Cross multiply and solve. 1 times x is this diagonal equals 1.5 times 2 is this diagonal. 1 times x is is x equals 1.5 times 2 gives me 3 pints. That's step 1. Okay? Step 2, I've got to now change my pints to what? To cups. That's what I'm solving for. Okay? So now I'm going to use this one. What I know is that there's 1 pint to every 2 cups equals, well, I know pints from this problem. There are 3 pints, and I don't know my cups. Please solve this one, and whenever you find your answer, you are finished with this portion and go to video part 2.